Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey everyone, it's Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster, owners of Elite Online Publishing. We're here for another great podcast today. How you doing, Jenn?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today.
Oh man, me too. And sometimes you feel like your life is a circus. Sometimes I do. I feel like I'm juggling monkeys. I'm juggling bananas. I'm on that ball, that the clown does, and it's trying to stay on top of the ball while the ball is going so fast. And you feel like you're getting things done, but maybe you're not getting your most important things done. I don't know about you, but I know I feel like that. Don't you feel like that sometimes, Jenn?
Oh yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah, and then
Trying to keep it all together.
yeah. And then at the end of the week, did I really accomplish anything? Well, we have an expert with us, Jones Loflin, today, and he has not just one, but several books, but we're focusing on juggling elephants, an easier way to get your most important things done now. So I don't know about you, but I want to know how to do that. And he's also been a speaker for the last 29 years. We're going to dive into that a little bit. So welcome. Thanks, Jones, for joining us today.
Oh, what a pleasure to be with both of you today. I didn't even have my second cup of coffee today because I won't need it if I'm going to hang out with Melanie and Jenn because you bring such an authentic energy to your podcast. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and just
Sure.
kind of how you got started in writing books and speaking.
Absolutely. Yeah. I started my professional career as a teacher in the public schools here in North Carolina. Did that for a few years and then wanted to go out and try some different things. So I entered the space of what we call motivational speaking for students. My background is education, of course, so that made sense. And did that for a few years. Then around 2000, I really wanted to focus more on the corporate market, associations, those types of things, and had a really interesting break in my career. I had the opportunity to work with the author of the book Who Moved My Cheese, Dr. Spencer Johnson. And that was just an incredible journey that taught me two things. Was first of all, the power of story to help people to change and to grow. And then secondly, the whole idea of how to get into the corporate market, how to get in front of those audiences that were different than the ones I had. So just an incredible journey. And since that time, I have authored a few books, and my main message is around helping people make the best choices with their time so they can thrive.
I love that. I love that, Who Stole My Cheese is such a great book. What a great opportunity that you had. So with your book, Juggling Elephants, kind of walk us through the structure of that. Like, how do I juggle things? What are the first core concepts of being more productive?
Sure. First one, most important, comes from the title of the book. And then I won't spoil the story for those who will read the book, but there's a moment in the story where a person says, "Hey, have you ever seen the Juggling Elephants act in a circus?" And they go, "Well, no." "Well, why not?" And of course, the other person says, "It's impossible." And they go, "Well, yeah." And they go, "Well, that looks like what you're trying to do." And I think that's true for so many of us, is that we live and work with the mindset that we can get it all done. We literally try to juggle elephants every day. And when we do that, we don't prioritize well. We don't think about how to work with others more effectively. So that's really that's the heart and soul of the message, is you can't get it all done. So you need a blueprint or a model to get your most important things done. And that's where the circus analogy comes in. And so it's about being the ringmaster of your circus, not meaning that you're in control of everything, but you are in control of certain parts of your day or your week. And are you using them well? So that's another key component of it. We talk about being a ringmaster. What are your rings? Well, we suggest you have 3 rings. You have a work ring, a self ring, and a relationship ring. And all 3 rings are important. Nobody wants to go to a 3-ring circus and see great acts in 1 ring. So one of the ideas is, how do you create meaningful acts in all 3 rings and not just 1, so that your circus performance, of course, goes well? And there's a lot of other things I could talk about, but I'll just stop there, as we begin to unfold the message about managing your work and life like it's a circus.
I really like that analogy because I know for me, those three things are really important. And sometimes it is hard to prioritize which one goes first. So
Yeah.
walk us through, like, how do you schedule your time, or how do you schedule which one? Like, how do you prioritize? Because sometimes I feel like I get it wrong, or I don't get everything done.
Well, first of all, Jen, understand I'm my own lifelong project in this stuff. As I often tell people that when I have it all figured out, I'll be dead and it won't matter, And so what we talk about in the book is it's important to be in the right ring at the right moment. It's
Mm.
not about balance. It's really about where does your time and energy need to be focused in this moment. For example, when you get up in the morning, some people immediately jump into the work ring. They check their texts, they check their email messages, they go ahead and start thinking about work. And then they spend, most of their day in that mode, never taking that opportunity in the morning to focus on themselves. What do I need to really be at my best today in the work ring? That's what's ironic, is that people think they're doing themselves a favor by focusing so much on work, when the reality is if they would start their day investing in themselves, whether it be exercise, meditation, reading, whatever, you actually then move into your work ring more focused and productive because you've invested in yourself first. And same thing is true for relationships. How many of us have been really trying to focus at work, and there's this little voice in our head going, you haven't talked to Melanie in about 2 weeks, or, wonder what Melanie's up to. And you're really trying to focus, but you can't because you've neglected some of the relationships in your life. And so asking yourself, what could I do? You know what? I could call Melanie during lunch today, or I could send her a text. Hey, Melanie, I was just thinking about you. And that's what we mean by being in the right ring at the right moment, instead of just trying to jump back and forth, because there's a lot of lost energy when you do that.
Yeah. And I love the breakdown of it and focusing on that ring at a time. And then, but sometimes you're in the ring. Jen and I are both single moms.
Mm-hmm.
And within like that work ring, there's the disruption. There's
Mm-hmm.
always the kids called. Oh, the text came in, emergency, or this or that. And you're having these fires you're having to put out with the disruption, or even like getting off course of, oh, I went to go look at something to make that message to someone, maybe on Facebook, right? You're like, oh yeah, I should do that to them. And then you're scrolling through Facebook. So how do you stay, in that work ring and not get scattered all over the place?
Now, first of all, I think you have to, give yourself some grace. Remember, as a ringmaster, you're going to take control of the discretionary time you have. It doesn't mean you're in control of everything. You're going to have fires. Animals get out in the circus, or something breaks and they have to stop and fix that. The question is, are you being intentional about how you are using that time? For example, you talked about the whole scrolling through social media thing. There's no problem with doing that, if you need a break from work and that gives you energy but set a timer, put a boundary. I'm going to do this for a minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, or, do something that gives it some boundaries so that you don't just kind of keep doing it in that way. And so I think that's one way that's really important, to stay in those rings. And it's also about creating environment, right? Is if you want to be in the work ring, what do you need to be effective in the work ring? Well, you probably need to reduce distractions. You need to be in a place where you can focus. You need a certain workspace created. They take time to set up acts in the circus so they go well. Why shouldn't we do the same when we're thinking about wanting our work to go well, time with friends and family to go well, or even for ourselves, taking the initiative to say, what kind of environment can I create that will help me to do the things that I want to do?
It's funny.
Yeah.
My son just painted his study. It was white. The whole house was new and everything was white. And he painted it, made it more like a cozier color. And he's like, Mom, I can't tell you the difference that this room is now a different color. It's changed my energy. And I feel like I'm more focused and I want to be in this room working. Just that one little thing can make such a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. For me, in my office space when I'm working, I have to have the diffuser going. If I really want to focus, it's peppermint, or my new favorite is, white tea, or, I'll walk into a hotel, it smells really good. And I'll go ask somebody, say, what are the smells you use here? And then I'll come back and I'll, recreate that with my diffuser, because smells are really important to me to help me focus. And so I think whatever it is that gets you there, do it to be more effective.
That's funny you said that, because Melanie and I did that last year. We were like, what is the smell in this hotel? It smells so good. And
Yeah.
it was neroli. It was like an orange, like a neroli
Mm.
flower. orange,
Mhm.
and I think it was mixed with something else, but we couldn't find that oil anywhere. But we got the neroli oil, and I put that in my diffuser. I love doing that too. That's great you
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really
It
like how
helps.
you talked about the importance of being in the moment, because I think a lot of times, especially as single moms or when you're juggling all these things, how do you like, yeah, I know a lot of people say like just be in the moment. How do you kind of separate yourself and be there when without all that distraction in your heads thinking about all the other things?
I think the first thing that's important is recognize what are those distractions? What are they sourcing from? Where are they coming from? Is it, unreal expectations of yourself? Is it guilt that you're putting on yourself because, well, I'm taking a moment for myself and I really ought to be with my kids right now? Yeah, I think it's finding the source of that and then reminding yourself that this moment that you're in, reminding yourself how it's going to help you to be that better mom or friend or colleague at work. I can't tell you the number of people that in a coaching environment, especially if they're a single mom or, women in general who have this, I call it extra elephants just because of their nature. And I'll say, how would you be a better mom if you took 10 minutes for yourself first thing in the morning? And it's amazing how many can immediately say, "Oh, I'd be more patient. Oh, I'd be more, positive. I'd be more present with him." I'm thinking, okay, what's the value in doing that? And I mean, they get it. It's just they needed to verbalize it and be reminded that will, pouring into yourself then is going to help you do those things that are really important to you in the next moment.
Yeah. I kind of want to switch gears now and
Mhm.
talk about your speaking because you've been speaking for 29 years, which is so impressive. And that's your main source of income of doing that. And so I love your website. You have all these great ways for people to book you and get information from you. So tell us, what do you attribute to continually getting speaking gigs and what helps you the most? What are like your secret tips for someone who wants to be a speaker?
Wow. How much time do we have? 3 hours? Does that work?
Yeah.
Because I have this conversation usually about once every 2 weeks, because I've been doing it so long, people reach out to me. And I think, the number one thing is having that clear message, having something that people can immediately connect with, whether you're customer service or whether you're, time management or whether you're change, having that clear message. So when people talk to you about, oh, what do you speak on? What do you talk about? And I see so many speakers sometimes who will just kind of go through this vague list of blah, 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 blah. And I can just see the other person kind of go, what? For me, I help people make the best choices with their time so they can thrive. What does that look like? Well, I have a presentation about, managing your time well. I also have something for leaders called Always Growing. But, having such a clear, consistent message, I think is it's paramount. It's most important. I think the second piece of that is building that group, that following, that tribe, whatever language we want to call it, is that, find those people who want that message, who need that message, and be with them, as far as providing information, content, support, not just, hey, here I am. Don't you want to book me? But okay, here's something of value I can provide to you. I do a monthly communication with a subscriber base, people who come to my programs and say, "Hey, Jones, I want some more." Okay, good. Sign up to be a part of my community. And once a month, they get something from me that is a complete give. It is not an ask in any way. It is a complete give. Yesterday's that went out was on delegation, about delegating authority, delegating task, and how that can help you improve and not be so overloaded. But I think it's just, you've got to be that person who says, you know what? I am confident in what I'm doing. I believe what I offer is of value. Here it is. Check it out. And then every once in a while, what is it, 90-10? I think I hear sometimes, 10% of the time, do make the ask. Once a year, in my monthly communication, once a year, I have something that does nothing more than say, hey, let's talk about how you can use me. Because a lot of people may have met me as a coach or as a keynote speaker, as a trainer, as an author, and they haven't thought about utilizing me in other ways. So I could talk for hours about this, and especially about all the mistakes I've made that have taught me other things. But those, I think, are really the key. And then I got to say, be patient. That is probably the other one. I married up. Whenever I first told my wife I wanted to go into professional speaking, she was very kind. She said, I'll give you 5 years to make it work. And if it doesn't work, you're going to go find a real job because I want to be able to have flexibility in what I'm doing in life. And I said, great. There's nothing like creating a little sense of urgency and accountability, but it takes time. And yes, social media and the internet have accelerated it, but it still takes time. It takes time to hone your message. It takes time to build that following. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, I think that patience part really does help, because I think a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to write a book and then I'm going to become a speaker, and tomorrow I'm going to get, $25,000 a speech. Well, it doesn't happen that fast,
Right.
It does take time, and you have to have patience. So I love that you explained that, because it takes time. And the other thing I'm sure you were going to say is network, because
Oh, absolutely.
not only building your community, but the people that you know and the stages that you speak on is all about networking, right? And figuring out who those people are that you want to be speaking to.
Oh, absolutely. And when you work with a group, how, can you go deeper in that organization? Are there other divisions or groups, or are there other companion groups, lateral? I don't do as much now, but I used to do a lot of work with associations, and associations. If you speak to a state group, there's 49 other ones. Now, you're probably not going to get the opportunity to go to the Alaska association of whatever it is, whoever it is you're speaking to, because they just don't have budget, or they might not meet that often. But there's just so many opportunities, and those people talk. And so I think it is finding that way of how you can network with that person, first by providing an amazing event, and then secondly by saying, okay, you like the work I did, who's somebody else? And those are timeless things, right? I mean, that's sales 101. If you provide a great product or service, ask them, who are 3 other people who you think would be of interest in my services? And if you've done a good job, they'll tell you.
Yeah. How valuable do you think your website has been in driving traffic and getting speaking gigs?
Website has been incredibly important, because just like I saw the statistic that when people go to purchase a vehicle, they have done 80% of their research online, and the other 20% is just what they're going to do when they come on the lot. I think it's similar in speaking. People are going to go to your websites. They want to see you. They want to see, what do you talk about? And then they want to see you in action. They want to see some video footage. And I think once they've done that, then that gives them a comfort level to then reach out and say, tell me more. I don't think your website has to be everything, because I think that people get into that sometimes. They think you got to put so much there, and it's a showroom. It kind of gives them some ideas, and then get them to contact you, because once they contact you, that's where the magic happens, because then they get to hear you talk. They get to interact with you, to see how you're interested in the work that you do. I'll say this about a website. Donald Miller with StoryBrand gave the best advice for websites, and I think this is for speakers or anybody. 3 things. Okay, 3 things. The first one is that when or not 3 things, it's 3 things wrapped up in the caveman test. Number 1, what do you offer? Number 2, how will it make my life better? And number 3, how do I get it? He says that if people can't find that within 10 seconds of going to your website, you need to change some things. And I'll be honest with you, when I looked at my website, I guess the last iteration, I'm like, yeah, it is a little harder for people to figure out in 10 seconds how to book me. And so that's why we moved the Book Jones little icon thing up to the top right. I mean, it's a simple thing, but it's those simple, things that sometimes make the biggest difference.
Yeah, I think that how do I get it question, a
Mhm.
lot of people forget. I think it was years and years ago, someone asked us, so do you have a buy button on your website, and like where they can pay now? And a lot of people are like, no, I don't. It's like, well, then why do you think you're not selling anything? Because you don't have a buy
Yeah.
button.
Yeah.
It's like, how do they get it? How do they book you? How do they
Mhm.
buy
Yep.
stuff? Like, how
Yep.
do they get it?
Yeah. Give them a call to action as quickly as possible, and multiples. I mean, you don't want to be cheesy with it, but you do want to make it easy, because that's what people are doing. They're looking and say, okay, I think I'm interested at this point. Okay, where do I click? It's gotta be there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You've given us so much information about being more productive. And if people want to walk into the speaking, your career, how you've become successful with speaking for all these years too. Really appreciate it, Jones.
Well, my pleasure. I mean, it's a wonderful profession. It's like anything else. It has its ups and its downs, its positives and negatives, but just the ability to impact people's lives in this way it's really special.
Great. Well, tell us where people can go to find out more about you. And if you have a free giveaway, you're welcome to do that as well.
Sure, absolutely. For any of your listeners who would like, I have a giveaway called 10 Ways to Be a Better Ringmaster of Your Circus. And so they can easily get that, by reaching out to me. How do they reach out to me? Well, jones@jonesloflin.com, of course, is my direct email. So I would know where they heard this to get it. The other place, of course, is my website. We talked about that earlier. One other place I would really encourage your listeners to go go to is get on LinkedIn. You talked about networking, Jen, and I have a lot of activity on LinkedIn. Would love the opportunity to connect with them on LinkedIn. I put out a lot of content there, giving people ideas and tips and strategies and different things like that. And so they can find me on LinkedIn just by typing in Jones Loflin.
Awesome. We'll put those in the show notes so people can click on those links.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. And remember, if you'd like to become a best-selling author, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com and see if you're a great fit for us. We do Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestseller, as well as Amazon bestseller. We'll see you next time. Have a great, fantastic week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full-spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.